The whiteboard is back. I know you guys loved it when I did the plot on there. Today I wanted to talk about subplots, and I wanted to use the original Jurassic Park in honor of Sam Neill's passing as a way to show you an example of how subplots really add to the book and why you must have them. If you're new to this channel, here's my credentials. I've published a lot of books. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've had a lot of rejections. I learned a lot of this because I made mistakes. I kept screwing up constantly, and it's not like I get it right every time, even now after writing all those books. It's just hard to write a book, period. And it's hard to keep track of everything that has to go on. But let me show you a trick for weaving together the subplots in a way that makes it really impactful. This is my rendition of a dinosaur. He's not that good, but that's just to remind you that this is about Jurassic Park. I try to pick movies that are a little bit older, so that means almost all of you guys have seen it at some point or another, or at least familiar with the plot. So you've got multiple plot lines going on here. Remember, a plot line goes like this. It's an opening event or a catalyst, which is the boom that sets off everything. All this rising action, which means things keep getting worse and worse and worse, which culminates in a black moment when it seems like all hope is lost and everything comes to a climax, and then things get resolved and you're done. And if you notice, this is a whole lot longer than this or this. Even if you have an ordinary world part there, they should be really, really short because the reader is reading the book to read the action, not to read all the build up to the action and all the stuff that happens after the action. They just want to see the plot resolved. So in Jurassic Park, the main plot becomes escape the island. You have a little bit of the ordinary world where the kids are getting there and they're bringing in the scientists and they're like, oh, wow, look at the dinosaurs everywhere. Because once that catalyst happens and things go south, everything changes for all of the characters. Then you've got Nedry Newman, for those of you who are familiar with Seinfeld. He's basically greedy. He's there for the money, and he's going to try to extract every last dime that he possibly can. You've also got Jeff Goldblum's character, which is Malcolm. He's just there to basically prove them all wrong. He's the wet blanket. He's going to say, listen, this is a bad idea because it could go really, really badly.
But John, if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
And you've got a small kind of subplot there with Grant, who doesn't really want to be there. That's Sam Neill's character, who ends up becoming the one that protects the kids. Those become the main subplots underneath the overarching plot. You've also got the grandpa and a couple of other smaller characters, but really this is what it's about. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Here's where you pull it all together. When you see how each of these interacts with each other, you see how it goes together in the book. So Nedry, in his quest for greed, in his quest to get away, he shuts off the power.
Phones are out too.
He's only going to do it for a second, right? But when he shuts off the power, the T-Rex escapes. And now everybody's in huge danger, which is proving Malcolm's theory, right? Don't mess with Mother Nature, and making Grant, who doesn't really like kids, be put into the position of protecting the kids. That happens almost immediately when their Jeep kind of goes off the cliff and he has to rush in and help them and save them. And then it becomes his mission to get these kids off the island. With Malcolm's plot, he believes in chaos theory. And this is a movie about chaos. His chaos theory becomes everything that is happening here on the island. It's all chaos. There's the raptors, there's the T-Rex, rah, 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 and there's all of these things that are just going wrong. Here's the thing. Without the chaos, the movie wouldn't be anywhere nearly as interesting as it is. Without the kids, the movie wouldn't be as nearly interesting as it is. And without the greed, none of this plot would have been kicked off. So each of these subplots that you have does one thing and one thing only. It feeds into the main plot and makes it stronger, makes it matter more, makes the stakes higher, and makes everything interlock. So when you're working on your book, you want to say, okay, so how does this subplot feed into the main plot? Let me show it to you in a book. So Shari Lapena is the couple next door. It's a whole lot going on here. It's a really crazy family. The mom and dad get murdered brutally after Easter dinner, and the mom and dad are really not getting along well with their kids, their adult kids, because they're terrible people. And you've got a whole lot of subplots going on. So let's do a fresh whiteboard. Okay, here's a brand new whiteboard. And I drew the bloody knife to represent the parents being murdered, which is the main plot. You start off with a very small, ordinary world. And remember, we're going back to that same kind of plot arc as we've had all the other times, where you have a small, ordinary world, rising action, climax and black moment, and then the resolution. So the catalyst, which happens right here, is the inciting incident, the thing that sets everything off, and that is the parents being murdered. It sets off an investigation. You've got a whole bunch of subplots going on here with these characters. Dan is dying for money. He's lost his job. He's leveraged everything he owns, and he really needs a bailout from his dad. His marriage is in trouble. He has huge motivations for being mad at his dad when his dad turns him down. Catherine wants a baby, and she wants to live the life that she has faked all this time because she really wants the parents' house. Jenna is the youngest sister. Jenna is being supported by mom and dad. She just wants to go on being supported and pursuing her kind of lackadaisical dreams of being a sculptor. So when the parents are murdered, and here's where the subplots become really important, every single one of these people has a motivation. But then Shari Lapena throws in a monkey wrench. She throws in a half sister, and she throws in an aunt who have equally important financial reasons for wanting to kill the parents. All of these people have subplots that are going on that feed into the main plot, that make the cops think maybe they're the ones that are the killers. And the really good part is it makes everybody in this not so happy family mistrust everybody else, because none of them want to be blamed for the murder. If one of them is convicted of the murder, that person doesn't get the inheritance. Each of these subplots ties into the main plot and creates more and more stakes, makes it more and more interesting. And each thing that you learn about these characters, like their spouses, who all have their own secrets to hide, makes you suspect every single person in this book. I honestly didn't figure it out until like a chapter or two before the actual murderer was revealed. That's the key to making a subplot really work. You have to make it something that interacts with the main plot over and over and over again and impacts the main plot. I know I use the word impact a lot, but that's because every single word in your book needs to impact the plot. I have had people argue with me that no, dialogue can just be there for humor or characters can just be there to show emotional moments. No, my argument back is no. Every single thing in your book should be moving the plot forward in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, you are wasting the reader's time. And maybe that's an unpopular take, but I personally hate a book that wastes my time. I hate books that just drag on and go nowhere. I want a book that keeps me turning those pages, that keeps me dying to find out what happens next, whether it's a really emotional book or whether it's one with a lot of suspense. It doesn't matter what kind of book you are writing. If you follow the cardinal rule that every single piece of the book, every piece of dialogue, every description, every character somehow moves the plot forward, then you will create an intriguing, impactful book. Drop a comment down below if you are struggling with your subplots, if you want me to go into more depth, if there's a book you want me to analyze or a movie you want me to analyze so I can show you how it all works. And if you really like this video and it taught you something that you didn't know about writing a book, don't forget to like and share and subscribe, because sharing is caring, and then other writers find out about it and we have more good books to read. In the meantime, check out my first whiteboard video where I talk about how a plot works, and I will see you on the other side of the page.